All right, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to day 204 of our journey through the workbook lessons out of A Course in Miracles. My name is Oliver Blue. I am your host, your temporary guide, your temporary coach, and I point you to that which is permanent, that which is eternal, that which is shared by all living things. I point you to the one source, the one voice, the one truth, the one reality that we all are a part of, that we all share. And it is our goal here at Truly Foundation, our nonprofit platform where we provide these advanced spiritual teachings. It is our goal that all humanity comes into a deeper awareness, a deeper insight into their true identity as that which was created by the one God, the one source, and that we all share in this one being called God, this one being, this one reality, this one entity, this one life, this one love. And to bring about an awareness of our unification with this one source. And it's our goal that we use this awareness in order for each of us to wake up to the truth, wake up to the embracing of our absolute innocence and wholeness, our absolute oneness with our Creator. This is our goal. This is our intention. We are happy you are here. If you've been following us over this 204 days, you are so much aware of the teachings and, of course, in Miracles, which is not a religious teaching, but it is just a tool that has been downloaded to us by one who has gone the full gamut, gone the full length, and has become a witness and evidence and substance to the thing that we hope for. And so now we are here in this September month of 2022. And on this day, we are looking into Workbook Lesson 204, which is the fourth lesson in a series of 16 review lessons. And today we're going to be reviewing lesson 184. We're going to be reviewing Workbook Lesson 184 in this review lesson. And we always want to start these review lessons out by revisiting our central theme through this 20-day review period. And the central theme that we will communicate and share each day is this: I am not a body. I am free. For I am still as God created me. And that's our central theme as we look at these 20 review lessons, because it is so important that we embrace the reality that we are not body identification. We are aware of a body that have been given an identification, a name. It has a history, personal history, timeline. It has experiences. And we're aware of that. We're not denying that is not in our awareness, but what we are saying is that is not our real identification. That's not who we are. Just like your car sitting out in your driveway or in your garage, that is your car. You are awareness that there's a car that you use to transport you from one place to another. And that is you say it's my car, but it's not yourself. You don't say, this is who I am. No, you say, that's a car. Likewise, these bodies we have, these bodies are necessary for us to be on this dimensional of life. You notice that anyone that is without a animated body, eventually they are no longer an appearance on this dimension of life. So having a body, having awareness of a body to reflect through, is required to be on this dimensional plane, that this third dimensional plane that we're on. But these bodies are not for the function of our true identity. These bodies are merely what the Course calls, these bodies are merely a communication device by which the life that we are, the true self that we are, have the ability to express our true nature through these physical bodies. But these bodies are not who we are, because these bodies are only temporary. These bodies come and they go. These bodies are very fragile. These bodies are very limiting. And they can only fulfill a role of being a temporary vehicle, communication device. But they can be healthy. They can be serviceable instruments by which we get to express our true nature through for a limited period of time. And so it is the fact that we have identified our very life, or our true self, as being these bodies. And that's where we have gotten into the state of suffering, this state of being very depressed or anxious or sad, because we understand that these bodies are just very, very limiting and have a very short life. They have a very short shelf life. And for one to think that this is who they are, and that this is all that they are, and that their life began when they was aware of a body and then ends when they're no longer aware of a body, that is very depressing. But we are here this morning to share in this fourth review lesson that the foundation of these 20 days of review is to bring us into the acceptation and the awareness that we are not our bodies. We are aware of a body that we express through, but that is not who we are. And when placed in service, in the proper function for which they are given, then the body will serve us well. But when we try to give the body a function or a purpose that it cannot hold, it cannot perform, therein lies the problem. Therein lies the breakdown. And so we want to make this very clear this morning, that we are not bodies, that we are free. Bodies are not free. Bodies are very limited. Bodies are very imprisoning. In our true nature, we have no limits. We are infinite beings. We're eternal beings. When we try to make something that is temporary to be permanent, therein lies the problem. When we give function to something that it cannot perform, therein lies the problem. Therein lies the struggle. Therein lies the suffering. When we try to make something that is unreal real, therein lies the absolute pain and suffering that humanity experienced. And when we give meaning to something that is not based on the truth, therein lies a world of separation, a world of hatred, and a world of separation and division. And this all comes out of our not understanding who we are. It comes out of our rejecting the truth of our oneness with our Creator. And so we have to correct that perception. We have to correct that. Otherwise, the suffering will continue. The pain, the division, the wars, the fighting, the destruction of this world, the destruction of one another, the unhappiness, the anxiety, the fear, the guilty consciousness, all of that will continue until what? Until we come to ourselves. And so that's what these lessons are designed to do. For us not to be conformed or conned by this world, but to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And that's why we're here. And we're glad to be here as a voice that speaks for God, a voice that speaks for truth. And so we are not bodies. We are aware that we have the opportunity to express our true nature through a body called Oliver or Jane or Bob, but that's not who we are. But we are totally free, and that freedom comes from our essential nature. That freedom comes from the essence of who we are, that we are one with the God of freedom. We are one with the God of oneness. We are free, and free indeed, as our Creator is. And so, for this reason, we still remain as God created us. And when we say we continue to remain, what we're saying is nothing that we experience in this life can change our true nature. Nothing that we experience, being aware of a body with a personal name and a personal history, none of that can change the essence of who we are. Because we are these unchangeable, unalterable beings that are exactly and in direct image and likeness of the one that created or extended them. And I will do my little example of what extension is, what creation is from God's perspective. I use my little rubber band illustration. When God, who is love and love's nature is to give, decided that it wanted to extend or give of itself, it just extended itself. It didn't change anything about itself. It just extended itself. And in that extension, it's called creation. And in that creation, the I am became a reality. And that I am is who you are and who I am and all living things are, having no difference in the nature of that which extended it. So when it says in the beginning God created, so it said in the beginning God extended his very own self and turned around and looked at itself and called itself what? The I am, which is who you are. So that's why we say you are the very expression, the very essence of who God is. There is no separation. There is no difference. That's why we've been saying these 200 and plus days that what? We have equality with our Creator. Why? Because we're no different than our Creator. We're just as much an aspect of who God is as any other enlightened being was an aspect of who God is. Like Jesus had no problem saying that he and his Father were one and the same. Jesus had no problem saying, when you've seen me, you have seen the Father, because I and the Father are one. So here we are, over 2,000 years later. And we're still struggling with accepting that message, that truth, that reality, that all humanity is a creation of God. And all humanity and God are one. Who you are is what God is, and what God is who you are. That's the truth. That is true always. That is the only place. That's the only reality. That's the only truth that will bring you into a place of comfortability with yourself. any other place, any other idea or thought about yourself that does not reach to the level of your oneness with God will fall short of who you really are. So it is, God has always been like the prodigal son who left his identity. God has always been unmoved by our denial, but stands in the same place, waiting for the prodigal to come home to the reality of their oneness. And so we have all this history, all this time and space that has gone on where man has tried his best to rearrange the truth. And it's not going to happen. All we can do is bring more pain and suffering to ourselves. We are who we are. We are who God created, and that we can't change that. You can't change your innocence. You can't change your guiltlessness. You can't change your sinlessness. You can create all the religions that you can imagine to say, no, we're not that. We're this. And it takes this to be that. And it won't work. It will not work. The only thing that works is what? The will of God. And the will of God is for you to come to know yourself as who you really are. And there's no strings attached to that. And who would not want to embrace this reality? Who would not want to be a part of this inheritance that we all share? Paul picked up a glimpse of it in many cases. He said, now are we, or maybe it was John, now are we the creations of God. And it said, and it does not appear what we shall be, but we know that when we see with open eyes, we shall be just like him. Well, that is true right now. As I'm talking here, hopefully you are seeing the reality of your true self versus the self that you made, or versus the self that you allow this world to conform you to be. You are so much grander. You are so much greater. You are so much beyond what one could ask or think. Yes, you are. Nothing in this world can truly define you. Nothing in this world can truly recreate you and to be something other than what God created you to be. Nothing else. We can only play with the game, dream the dreams. But the day comes that everyone wakes up to the truth. God guarantees it. He said when he could swear by no greater, he swore by himself that truly he has blessed all of his creation. And so today in Workbook Lesson 204, now that we have established that foundation that what we're not bodies, because bodies aren't free. But we are free, and free indeed. And that we remain, that we are still that infinite self. We are still that guiltless and sinless self. We are still that eternal self. We are still that loving self that God extended. And he called it the I am. I am that I am. You are that you are, what God made. We did not make ourselves. We are not who our parents produced. Our parents only produced a body that is temporary. God gave us life, his very own life, which is eternal. And that's what he said. Why are we confused about this? Why would you want a temporary life when I've given you eternal life? And so in Workbook Lesson 184, the idea was that we reviewed, that we studied back 16 days ago. It was the name of God. And anytime you see it talks about the name of God, it's talking about not necessarily a name as we name objects and as we name things, but the name has to do with God's nature, the nature of God, or the essence of God. So it says the name of God is my inheritance. And an inheritance has to do with that which we identify. It has to do with identity. It has to do with what our essence, our nature is. Inheritance has to do with our supply, that which sustains us. So it says the nature of God is or the name of God is our inheritance. And here, when it talks about a name, it's not talking about using words that have limitation to try to describe something that is unlimited, because there is no word in the human vocabulary that can adequately and fully give credence to what reality is. Reality is beyond words. Who you are is beyond words. Who God is beyond what one word can describe. The moment that you put a name on something, you put limitations on it. And there's no limitations on you or on God. But we have to use them. Okay, we have to use them for communicating on this level, just for communication purposes. And what we need to communicate only on this level is our true reality. And so, oneness. We are one. There is only the one. God is, and there is nothing else. God is, and we cease to speak. There's nothing else can be said. That which is all encompassing, meaning all things that I have are into the one thing. That's all there is to know, that we are that one thing that has part of the one thing. And so when we call, so it says the name of God is our inheritance, the nature, the essence. What God is, that's what you have inherited. What God is. When you extend it, all that is what God is in the extension. That's your inheritance. You can never be without your Creator. You can never be separate and apart from God. Ever. Never, ever. Ideas don't leave their source. And so we only have to accept that reality. It's called the atonement, or the at one meant. Atonement. That's what true atonement means. It means that we embrace and accept the oneness that we share with our Creator, that there is only one Creator, one life, one love, one being, one essence, one existence, and that is who we are. And so it says God's name, or God's essence, or God's nature remains, or it reminds me. God's nature is what reminds or informs me that I am, that I am His creation. It is His nature. It is His essence that reminds me that I am. And what is God's nature? God is love. It is the love that I am that reminds me that I am God's creation. It serves as a reminder. The essence of who you are, the unchangeability, the unalterability, the immutability of God reminds you of who you are. And it says, it reminds me that I am His creation, not slave to time. That who we are is beyond time. Time can't hold you. Time is limited. And so who we are is beyond time. Because we were created before time was. It says, it reminds me that I am God's creation, not slave to time. I am unbound by laws which rule this world of sick illusions. All the laws that govern this world, I'm beyond that. I'm not subject to the laws of time and space. I'm not subject to it. It cannot hold me. It cannot imprison me. It cannot limit me. Only in dreams. Only in a belief in separation. It says that I am not bound by illusions. It says, but I am free in God's nature. I am free in my eternal, infinite self. Free to imagine. Free to love. Free to give. Free to share. Free to express. Free to create like my Father. Free to forgive. Free to help. Free to be me. Free to be happy, to be joyous. Regardless of the external conditions, regardless of the external situations or circumstances, I am free. Why? I'm not a body. I'm not limited to what the body can be, can do. I am free. I am still as God created me. And it says, I am forever and forever one with our Creator. We are forever and forever one without our Creator. Forevermore. We are the forevermores. We are the unlimited ones. When I say we, I exclude no one. No one is excluded. Love has forgotten no one. Jesus Christ and his life was a demonstration that love has forgotten no one, and that he was in his demonstration. He was symbolizing the reconciliation of all things back unto the one thing. How more simple can the illustration be? That God was in Christ, reconciling the whole world to himself, or herself, or to itself. And now we here stand as the light of the world, as substance and evidence of that oneness. That is what our life is supposed to emulate, to communicate. By our love for one another, how we share and love one another. And so, the name of God is our inheritance, the nature, the essence. Because one word can't hold the essence and the nature of who we are. So in this world, we name things, and these names give them limitations. But in reality, there is no name. In fact, it's said here, when we go back to Workbook Lesson 184, I'm just going to read just a little. It says, you live by symbols. You have made up names for everything you see. Each one becomes a separate entity, identified by its own name. But it says, by this, we carve it out of unity. By this, we designate its special attributes and set it off from other things by emphasizing space surrounding it. This space you lay between all things, to which you give a different name. All happenings in terms of place and time. All bodies which are greeted by a name. It says this space you see are setting off all things from one another. And somewhere in here it says there is no name. Let me see if I can find it. It says, here it is. It says God has no name. And yet his name becomes the final lesson that all things are one. And at this lesson does all learning end. When we embrace the reality of our oneness with God, there is nothing to learn. That is all there is to know. Our oneness with our Creator and with each other. And so today's lesson, as you go out in your day, remind yourself that you're not a body, that you're free, and that you still are as God created you. And that the name or the nature or the essence of God is your inheritance. And you are forever and forever one with your Creator. Not bound by anything in this world. Because you're not a body. In your true essence, you cannot be bound. You cannot be imprisoned in a mind that's free. And so we end again today, like we begin today, by saying we are not bodies or the limitations of the body, but we are free and free indeed. For we are still as God. Notice now, as God, as reality, as love, as knowledge, as truth, created me and created you. And that's a fact. Thank you so much. This is lesson 204. Revisit that idea all during your day, at least once an hour. Think about it. I am not a body. I'm free. Think about it. The name or the nature or the essence of God is my inheritance. And I stand in it now. Not something in the future, but I stand in that inheritance right now as one with my Father. And that in and of itself will bring you the peace that you desire. That one thought. Thank you so much. Have a great day. We'll see you on tomorrow. Bye-bye.